Welcome. My name is Maya Gadur, and I'm one of the managing directors at Pacific Estates. I have the distinct pleasure today of interviewing Fernando Pacheco, who is a partner and serves as legal counsel to the prestigious firm of Facio and Cañas here in Costa Rica. Welcome,
Thank
Fernando.
you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we have a bunch of questions here from our potential buyers and investors.
Okay.
It really covers an array of topics. One of the pressing topics that a lot of our buyers and investors have is basically residency. And if you can elaborate on the process and steps that are needed to be taken in order to become a resident and a citizen of Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm. In the first place, every time an American or a Canadian comes to Costa Rica, they are allowed to stay 3 months as a tourist. So normally, people with that time is more than enough really to come to Costa Rica to enjoy, if they have a house or a second home. Normally with that kind of stay is sufficient. So I recommend to people to get residency once they realize that they're staying for more than 3 months at a time. And at that time is when you really have to start moving with residency. So it's important really not to precipitate and see that Costa Rica really has become like your place of residency. Once you make that decision, there are different alternatives to do it. It has been, in the past it used to be very complicated, but the authorities have realized that it is better to facilitate and have people under the system than having people that are like perpetual tourists, used to be called like that. People that come, stay 3 months, go out of the frontier and then come back. But now they have changed and they want people to become residents, so they have control of the foreigners. They know who they are, they have the criminal records and things like that. So the process has been open and is easier now, much easier now than it used to be, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. But basically the options are for people that receive like a pension from the government. That's probably the easiest way just to get residency. If you have some kind of pension from your company or from the government, you just demonstrate that you have that fixed income. The government wants to know that you have a fixed income.
Is there a certain amount that is required that they must meet in terms of a fixed income to be able to apply?
Yes,
or
$2,000.
$2,000 a month?
A month. It can come from a pension, or you can have like a bank. If you have an investment with a bank and they certify that they will send to Costa Rica that amount per month for 5 years, you can do it as well, like that.
And how easy is it to open up a bank account here for a foreigner? Is that an easy process, or is that complicated?
Depends more on the banks. Here we have public banks and private banks. There's no rule that says that a non-resident foreigner cannot have a bank account. That is perfectly possible. But most of the banks requires to show that the person has some kind of attachment to the country. They don't want people just coming out of a plane and open an account. That's not the way it's intended. The banks in Costa Rica are more for people that live in Costa Rica, have business in Costa Rica. It's not like for offshore purposes.
So in other words, somebody that would invest in Costa Rica, somebody that would decide to reside in Costa Rica, that's
Exactly.
what you mean by an attachment.
Exactly.
So they have an anchor
Exactly.
here, they have
Exactly.
something of tangible possessions that
Exactly.
are worth here. Okay.
Costa Rica, we apply these rules of anti-money laundering rules that have been enforced in almost in every country. So they need to know very well the source of income, where the money is coming from. So foreigners normally need to bring some kind of statements showing that they already have accounts with other banks, what they do, those are savings, if they have a business. So it's not that easy anymore really to have a bank account in Costa Rica. But the good thing is that you don't need residency, and as long as you comply with all the papers they ask, and you show, for example, that you have a house in Costa Rica, that you need to take care of the house, or maybe that you're receiving some rentals and that you need to have a bank account for that, no problem at all, really. There's no restrictions. Our law guarantees the same rights for foreigners and Costa Ricans in real estate, in doing business. But you have to have a little patience, really, to fill out the requisites. It's not just like going to the bank and coming with bank account.
Right.
But it's something that can be done, and we do it every day for our clients, and just do it the right way.
Right. So let's get back to the topic of residency. So I understand that there's different categories of residencies.
Exactly.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes. The first I mentioned is the one that is for the pensionados. We call it in Spain, pensionados. People that receive like a fixed income. But there's also people that can show another kind of attachment to the country. For example, if you have purchased a property or you have a business in Costa Rica, it's more like discretionary. They have to see what kind of investment, the records. Always is required to have this statement from the authority, the nearest authority where you live, where you reside, showing that you don't have any kind of criminal background. That's very important. You need to bring a birth certificate, if you're married certificate. All these documents, they need to be notarized by the nearest Costa Rican consulate, and they have a very short validity term. So you really need. That's what I'm saying, that you get these documents once you're really ready to file for residency. You don't get those and allow them to expire. You really need to decide when is the moment you're going to do that. And in general, investing in the past, you need to invest in certain activities. Now it's more open. In the past, for example, just buying a house by itself was not enough really to demonstrate that. But now they're not caring so much that you invest, but more that you really make your Costa Rica of a place where you have interest,
right,
where you have house. So in that sense, it's more easy now. Residency also exists for family links. If you get married to Costa Rican, you have children. I have some clients that they come just to Costa Rica to have their child here, and they are Costa Ricans just by that fact.
Right. Right.
And now they are related to a Costa Rican, their child. And
So it makes it much easier then.
yes, that's the easiest way for lot links. Married to Costa Rican, having Costa Rican children. Those are basically the categories. They're another type, but more for labor aspects. A foreigner that needs to be hired by a U.S. company and they need a special kind of expertise. So in that hand, the labor ministry will allow foreigners to work, but you need to justify that they have special skills that maybe are not part of our labor market. So, but in principle, I'll say that foreigners should not be worried about residency. Again, you have all this time to come, and you really need to know. You will learn the country. You need to know if you really like the country, as most of the clients do. And until then, is that you start making the movements. But relax. This is Costa Rica.
Pura vida, right?
Pura vida, as we say.
So, what about foreigners coming in and opening up a business? I see a lot of our clients coming in wanting to invest and eventually either wanting to retire off the bat or at some point in the near future wanting to retire here because of the quality of life that's offered here and the pace of life. How difficult is it for somebody, a foreigner, a Canadian, American, to come to Costa Rica and to want to open up their business? So at least, some of them are going to be retired, some of them are semi-retired, but they want to make some extra money to pay the monthly expenses, let's say. Can you get into that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we see all type of cases. Sometimes people get retired and they come to Costa Rica saying, I want to just enjoy the country, relax, the mountains, the beach. and suddenly when you sit there starting to do some business,
Right.
sometimes when you have been involved in business all your life, then you see, how come they don't have this, they don't bring this kind of products.
Right, right.
So sometimes people that retires and being businessman in Costa Rica, and that's perfect. But you don't have to be a resident to do business in Costa Rica. We have the opposite. We have clients that don't come to Costa Rica very often, but they own stores and
businesses
business.
here.
They like the country because they like the way
So,
we operate. There are no restrictions. There's no difference if you're resident or not. Basically, our law allows people to do business. You don't have to have any Costa Rican partners or anything like that, like some countries do.
right.
And again, the law protects both Costa Ricans and foreigners. There are no special obligations for foreigners. Normally, foreigners and Costa Ricans, we do business using Costa Rican companies. It can be an LLC, it can be a corporation. That's more like for asset protection purposes or for flexibility. You have to do business, to bring partners, that's the way to do business. You need Costa Rican companies to do that. And no big deal, really. It's you just need to get like a license if you're going to open a place open to receive public. You need to have a local license with the municipality. And depending the type of business, you may need a health permit or special permit for this and that. But in general, no problem at all. Costa Rica, you see all sort of business people doing. Starting their projects here, and again, some come, they like the country, some they just come to do business, and that's it.
So the process basically to open up a business for a foreigner would be, what, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days? I mean, it sounds like it's
Yes.
something that you would fill out forms. You would open up a bank account, obviously, they do a background check on you.
Exactly.
And so what do we, it sounds like an easy process, a relatively short time to open up a business here. Huh?
Yes. Obviously, the first thing is always to look for good legal representation.
Right.
Some people think that they can learn things by internet. They can find a lot of that, but again, always at the hand of a good accountant, a good law firm. After that, a company, we can create one company from one day to the other. In other words, by tomorrow, you tell me now, I can have the company registered for you. And that's the vehicle to start doing business. Bank account takes, I would say, 3 or 4 weeks. All the time you give them all your
information.
background and everything.
Right.
And depending where you do the business, for example, you want to open a store in a mall, in a big shopping center, those places are already qualified to do business. So you go to the municipality and they will give you the license because the place by itself is already, let's say, pre-approved by zoning and everything.
I understand. So
But-
basically, you would need to go to, you open up a store in a shopping mall, you would need to basically show your business.
Your
license,
company,
corporation.
that you're the legal representative.
Right.
The bank account is more for to do business, but they don't really need to know if you have a bank account or not. They need to check your records if you're going to start renting a place. They need to see who you are, but the normal business practice. There's no I don't foresee a major task or impediment for somebody to do business in Costa Rica. Obviously, unless they intend to do something more like mining or exploration or something that has to do with the exploitation of the natural resources. Obviously, in that field, we're extremely, there are a lot of restrictions for environmental aspects.
Right.
But after that, the business by itself is simply also important to open the official payroll with the Social Security. We're very jealous of the compliance of the Costa Rican labor law. Be sure always to comply with the law. Have Costa Rican workers if you can to facilitate the process and don't have to go to special permits for foreigners. There's great labor hand here in Costa Rica. You see all these big companies using Costa Rica as a back office, customer service, and every day we see more people coming here for the level of education that we have and the ability to deal with different languages. So this is a place open for foreigners, for business. Our system protects the rights of the investors, the landowners, And I can say that everybody's really committed to it.
It sounds like Costa Rica has positioned itself as a country to welcome all the foreigners and foreign investment here, is what it sounds like.